Thank you. We are joined now by Jeff Rinaldo, a security expert, of course, has a background with Buffalo Police as well.
Jeff, thank you so much for being here. Of course, we're talking safety, security. We don't want to alarm people, but this is an important topic. First, what are your thoughts on what happened today?
Well, again, I think you're seeing the response is appropriate for what happened. There was obviously a tragic event that occurred. A vehicle crashed, it exploded. Unfortunately, 2 people lost their life. And you're seeing the system now kick in the way it's designed to. Until the federal authorities have a handle on exactly what happened, they're taking all the precautions they can, which is shutting down the other bridges until they can figure out exactly what occurred, as well as other international points of entry into this country, just to take a pause and figure out what happened and then take additional safety and security measures to reopen those ports and make sure that people are safe.
We know that there are heightened tensions across the world right now, here in the U.S. right now. This is definitely something that can maybe make people, I don't know, get a little scared in that situation. You know, if we find out later down the road this was a car crash at the bridge, why do we need to take these precautions that we are taking right now?
Well, again, I think that it's necessary because when things like this happen, there's an expectation that our government keeps us safe. Our law enforcement, our first responders keep us safe. So the best way to do that is to really get a total control of the situation and then determine exactly when and how to reopen those places, when and how to reduce that presence. But again, you never want to underreact, and God forbid that this was something more or that there was another extension of this that we weren't prepared.
So, of course, as you mentioned, there's a lot of work being done at the borders. We know that there are heightened security measures at the airport, NFTA, the Metro Rail Zone, what have you. Tomorrow, Thanksgiving Day, one of the biggest events on Thanksgiving Day here in Western New York, the Turkey Trot. Talk about the security that will be in place there.
Sure. So Vista is proud to do the security. We've been doing the security there for a number of years. But I can tell you that the amount of planning that goes in, not just with the security, but with local law enforcement, state authorities, county authorities, is massive. It's a very well planned out and thought out event. And we do, working with the law enforcement, talk about contingencies and what ifs and things of that nature. So I think people should enjoy the Turkey Trot. I think that they should feel safe attending it and know that law enforcement does react to things like this in real time. But ultimately, it doesn't take an event like this for the organizers to take security and safety seriously. The very first thing that's talked about every year is the safety and security of the event and the attendees.
Just for background, 14,000 people are running in that race tomorrow. I know more people show up. They don't have a bib, so it's going to be even more than 14,000 people. Your firm, you just mentioned, does the security. We have not heard from the Turkey Trot this afternoon. Can you tell us, is the Turkey Trot definitely on? Is there any chance the Turkey Trot could be canceled tomorrow?
Well, there's always a chance if some information is developed contrary to what we have as of right now. But I can tell you that we did have a meeting this afternoon. We know that law enforcement is going to have a very strong presence like they always do. And as of right now, from our perspective, we're planning as if the Turkey Trot is occurring.
And you mentioned the relationship between, security agencies, law enforcement. Why is that relationship so important when it comes to ensuring safety?
Well, sure. I mean, it's very important from a law enforcement perspective to know exactly what the security plan is for the event, what the staffing numbers look like, what exactly the roles and responsibilities of security is for the event, as well as the after event, whether there'll be screening, whether there'll be canine sweeps, things of that nature. So it's very important that everybody knows what the other one's doing and what the resources are available in the event something unlikely would happen.
I think you have, calmed our nerves a little bit on the Turkey Trot tomorrow. If there's anyone at home saying, I'm not going, what is your, you're the guy in charge of the security of that event. What do you have to tell people who might be on edge about running in this race that is been around for so long here in Buffalo at People Up?
Well, again, I think what people have to understand is they have to do what makes them comfortable. But that, again, over the last, decades in this country, all of these mass gathering events really get scrutinized, and they are not just put together on a whim. They are planned out, There's contingency plans, there's organization, agencies work cooperatively to make sure everybody's safe. And again, at the end of the day, we cannot allow our fears to stop our daily activities in our lives, because if we did that, then we are surrendering to what, if this, God forbid, was a terrorist event, that is the goal, to make you afraid in your everyday life. And we just can't let that happen.
Good advice.
Well, unfortunately, our time is short. I think that is a good way to end the conversation. Security expert Jeff Rinaldo, thank you so much for taking the time to join us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.